Ready, Ruby?
I am. Hey, Johnny, there's a little pick right there, a white plastic thing.
Oh, mine is in my purse.
Yeah, here's yours, baby.
Yours is in your purse.
I'll get mine. Let me do this. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. The glasses and the mask and the mask and the glasses and clothing and glasses. Ah, look at your gorgeous faces. So wonderful to see you all. I'm welcoming tonight the wonderful, fabulous Orgod family. Mazel tov on your simcha. We're so happy for you. And the amazing, the dedicated, the suave and debonair Steve Barron will be helping with the Drash and reading Torah this week. Shabbat Shalom. We begin services this evening in the Siddur on page 121. 121.
Oh Lord of light and truth, creator of eternal love of goodness, help us find knowledge by which we live, lead us, take words we shall speak into our heart and our lives. Bless all that enters this sanctuary is in me. All who read the author of their heart, may our worship lead us to guide peace and love.
I invite forward Adon's mom and dad. All right, Adon, you can sit down with your mom and dad just for a few minutes. We will need your able assistance momentarily. Page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no service, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other. To work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue on page 142 with the singing of Shalom Aleichem. Don to come up and join me. And we read together on page 145 at the bottom. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew our days. Bless my day today as the one before, less routine is set. Invite my bar mitzvah to lead us in the Baruch Hu and invite all of you to rise physically or spiritually. We remain standing. Together we lead. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything in himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of the people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises in the united with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarelet, let us bless. Page 151, we read responsibly. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things are for us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiest of your works, the living language that gives us form, gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Amot Yisrael. Page 157, we read responsibly at the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. Sinai, we bound ourselves to the way. Though our failings be many and our faults be great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of the world redeemed. As it is the month of Elul, the month leading up to the high holidays, we sing the Michamocha in the high holidays. Michamocha en Adonai, Michamocha en Adonai, Nor all On page 162, we join together in singing the Shabbat. Page 162. Oh, beautiful singer. How I miss singing with you.
Oh, so much. Such a privilege.
Sure it is. Invite you to rise on page 164 for our standing prayers. Adonai, Sephatatika, Uthia, Ita, Eternal God, open heavens, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avinu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaGadol, El Elyon, Gomel HaSadik Yovim, Lekonei HaHa'ol, Lezocher HaSei HaHol Imamot, Ulevi Geulah B'nei למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגיל אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי אמונתך, רב למושיע, מורי אתה. מחכה עם הכסף, מחיה עורם רבים, צומח נפלים לרופא עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גיבורו, ומי דומה לה, מלך אמת ומחיה. ומצביע ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, בחיי הכל. אתה קדוש, שמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום לצבא, סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. I invite you now to take your own sacred journey, whether you use the pages in front of you. When we get to page 180, please be seated, or the meditations of your heart. Makes no difference. Page 178.
Shalom
Seder Kriyat Torah the Shabbat, the order for reading of Torah on Shabbat, begins with us inviting Imbal and Edan up to help open the ark doors, and I invite you all also to rise. If you would like to follow along with Steve there, he will be reprising his bar mitzvah portion, Songs of the Polyester Leisure Suit. And you can follow along at page 1114 in this book. 1114. Is that all it is? Is that all it is? At first, I'd like to invite some of our ladies to see Bob and Noah. I know I didn't ask you first. I'm sorry. No.
Who is Adonai Torah? Adonai Torah לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Zachor Asher Asa Lecha Amalek Haderech B'tzeit Mitzrayim Asher Karcha B'derech Hayazenei Lecha Kohan Nefesh Alim Acharecha Ve'ata Hayikageh V'lo Yareh Elohim V'haya Adonai Elohecha B'kol Avecha Misavim Haaretz Asher Elohecha Notein Lecha Natala V'rishta Titeh Et Zecher Amalek Mitachat Hashamayim Lo Tishkach.
Verse 17.
Remember what Amalek did. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey after you left. How, undeterred by fear of God, he surprised you on the march when you were famished and weary, and cut down all the stragglers in the rear. Therefore, when the Lord your God grants you safety from all your enemies around you, in the land that the Lord your God is giving you as a hereditary portion, you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת. וחי העולם נתן בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, הנותן התורה.
Amen. So some of you may remember when this scroll, which is the shaman scroll, was actually, we had a party when we started and a field when we finished. And what's interesting is that you may or may not remember, but before the soup fair started, he took a piece of parchment and wrote the name Amalek cast it out. That is what you do before you read a Torah scroll, so that you remember and rely on. Please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. We have come to that place in our service where, in the Torah's midst, we speak aloud those in our lives and in our hearts who are alien. Our congregation has been asked to think of the following: Aviva Eliza, Laura Keenan Aronson, Harvey Bowler, Joan Bransfield, David Richette, Vega Sora, Alicia Dunnigan, Jonah Engar, Doreen Evans, Aston Gard, Phyllis Goldblatt, Don Randolph, Wayne Hanson, Mimi Harris, Kyler Keaton, Leah Jones, Harold Katz, Jeffrey Krause, Celinda Levine, Doris Louie, Roy Lloyd, Miriam Ryan, Gerald Marks, Jimmy Miller, Sharon Montesi Garswa, Nikki Moulton, Moshe Khan, Irene Overstack, Amber Roy, Mark Coleman, Gary Cruz, Rodney Qualls, Rich Reisman, David Rosenthal, Arthur Rousseau, Alan Sager, Casey Siendo, Sandy Simonson, Kristen Rouse Skinner, Kelly Stein, Andre Watson, Virginia Wharton. Rob, are there other names on Zoom?
I'm not seeing any other names on Zoom.
Thank you, Rob. As I go along, please, if your names happen to overlap with another person's name, that's okay, right? But in the interest of time, this is unfortunately, you know, we're trying to keep it recording. So when I have to go back quickly, please feel free to continue even if someone begins on time.
Shabbat Shalom. It's the 46th anniversary of my bar mitzvah. Not wanting to do much work to prepare for this Rosh, I looked for the notes that I wrote 46 years ago. And I couldn't find them. So I had to make something up instead. And I thought I would take myself back to that. And so I wrote a little something about my memory of studying for my bar mitzvah and about the cantor who helped me prepare. His name was Shalom Markovitz. And it goes like this. My bar mitzvah took place 46 years ago, August 16, 1975, Parsha Ki Teitzei, Book of Deuteronomy. I still remember my maftir, which I just read a few moments ago, and could probably chant it in my sleep if prompted in the right way. Certainly, if Cantor Shalom Markovitz tiptoed into my bedroom, I would sense his presence, sit upright in bed, and rattle off those few lines like a Major League Baseball shortstop fielding a 15-ground ball. And it wasn't because I was afraid of Cantor Markovitz. He did not coach me or countless other kids of my generation in the way that was the least bit intimidating. He wasn't a drill sergeant or a screamer like some of the teachers I remember from my days at Talmud Torah in Minneapolis, Minnesota. To the contrary, I recall those brief pre-bar mitzvah visits to his office at the Nehemiah Synagogue in the summer of 1975 as relaxed moments filled with quiet encouragement. I can still hear in my head his deep voice, thick with the Eastern European accent of his youth. I want you should go a little bit slower, Stephen. Maybe a little bit louder. But he delivered his minimal comments with a smile and a twinkle in his dark brown eyes, which were framed by immensely bushy eyebrows. I'm half convinced to this day that his eyebrows were under the stewardship of the Environmental Protection Agency. It's possible that flocks of birds could have lived in the underbrush atop his eyes and would never have known them. What I remember most vividly about Cantor Markovitz was the number tattooed on his forearm. Because my bar mitzvah took place during the brief but warm Minnesota summer, Cantor Markovitz wore short-sleeved dress shirts at our weekly meetings. The shirts revealed his bare arms, and one of his forearms revealed a small several-digit number in deep blue and nearly black ink, faded ink. I tried not to stare at it, but it was difficult not to be drawn to that number and to let my mind wander back to what the number represented. When he was a boy of roughly the same age as me at that time, 30 or so years earlier, 1940s, he went through some unspeakable horror in Europe during World War II that I could not grasp then, and I still cannot grasp to this day. We never talked about the number on his arm, but in some ways it was the most important symbol in the room. Like any Jew who studied the Holocaust in Hebrew school, I often wondered what would have happened to me if I had been born in Europe in that era. If I were lucky enough to survive, would I continue to hold tight to the religion that nearly got me killed? Cantor Markovitz did more than embrace his religion. He spent his adult life sharing the joy he found in it and teaching it to others. He literally gave voice to it. To me, there was no more poignant moment in the high holiday services of my youth than when Cantor Markovitz sang the Hineni prayer, "Here I Am," which he always started from the back of the sanctuary and then slowly marched to the front of the sanctuary toward the Torahs. I don't know what it meant to him to be telling God, "Here I am," but it resonated powerfully with me to see this Holocaust survivor in white robes marching slowly and deliberately the Torahs in the front of the room. Now, back to my mafter for one more moment. Here is the English translation. I just read it to you a moment ago. "You shall remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you went out of Egypt, how he happened upon you on the way out, cut you off, all the stragglers at the rear, when you were faint and weary, and he did not fear God. Therefore, it will be when the Lord your God grants you respite from all your enemies around you, the land which the Lord your God gives to you as an inheritance to possess, that you shall obliterate the remembrance of Amalek from beneath the heavens. You shall not forget." I think I finally figured out why Cantor Markovitz had a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye when I read these words. May his memory be a blessing always. And I'd also like to dedicate my drosh, so to speak, tonight to my family and to the memory of Dr. Harold J. Rothberg. Thank you. Questions?
I have an envelope with cash. I'll give it to you. Steve, I love you. I love your sense of humor, and I love how profound and meaningful those words were. I know that wherever Cantor Markovitz might be, that his star just shining a little bit brighter tonight. So thank you for sharing those words with us. They were magnificent. We turn page 586. Should probably put the glasses on. And I invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Page 586. Aleinu leshaber l'adon ha'kol, l'tefila le'afer Christi, shelo asa v'yeh ha'ratzah, v'lo sama k'mishpachah, shelo sama v'yoher, v'gorah Yehovah Mona, la'anam kori. You may be seated. Steve is right. We have lost someone very precious to our community, Dr. J. Rothenberg. We will not be saying his name tonight. We say the name, of course, after interment. But our hearts go out to Maya, his widow. I know so many of you knew him and loved him. $592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. When you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Our congregation remembers Seymour Erner, Sidney Brown, Felice Cohen, Jack S. Frank, Irving Garfield, Meyer Gilbert, Jack Golub, Esther Gordon, Jeffrey Herman, Bertha Hurst, Fanny Julius, Peter Kaufman, Samuel Kramer, Ernest Margrove, Stanley C. Mayer, Rachel Malamed, Clara Kirsch, Charles Nathan Raymond, Phil Richmond, Charlotte Salmon, David Sanders, William Schwartz, Siegfried Strauss, Robert Sweet, Elizabeth L. Weil, Rosa Zebkova, and in Shloshim, Rabbi Richard Hirsch, Ella French, Jerry Houston, and Eleanor Romaine. Rob, are there other names on Zoom?
Annie Bonneman.
Thank you. Any other names in the congregation? Those morning? I'll ask those in mourning and those whose custom it is to rise for the words of Kaddish Yato on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma yivrach eritei v'yamlich malchut v'chayacha u'v'yom echad u'v'chayei v'kol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman karev ve'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah v'barach le'olam u'amei amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן ועלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of you bereaved among us, and let us all say, Amen. There are many ways to engage, you may be seated. There are many ways to engage in the multitude of things this congregation is doing, and many of them online and some of them not. So if you go to either 5959online.org or emmanuelcom.org, look at all this stuff. I think you'll be not just impressed, but you'll want to join us. At least I hope. We conclude with something I have been waiting for a year to hear Ruthie play. Page 647, Oseh Shalom.
Any particular version we want, Catherine?
The one where you go, huh?
Oh, okay. Okay, everybody, buckle up. Ose shalom b'rama, Booyah, I said shalom, aleluya. Ose shalom b'rama, Booyah, I said shalom, aleluya. Ose shalom b'rama, Booyah, I said shalom, aleluya. Yes, and shalom, yes, and shalom. Shalom, they are going to shalom. God say shalom, shalom, amen. They are going to shalom in Rama. Hallelujah, I say shalom, amen. Shalom in Rama. Hallelujah, I say shalom, amen. Shalom, hallelujah. They all call Israel. Woo! Welcome back.
Welcome to the Oregon family on the Simcha Vedas Bar Mitzvah, and many, many thanks to our past president and all around most wonderful guy, Steve Bannon.
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. That was so fun.